learn more stuff, but I think she always sort of said to me, go out and have a life, you don't just have to get married, there are alternatives to it.
Linda Ronstadt has had a brilliant career that has spanned decades, but at the age of 78, the singer surprised fans by sharing what she regrets most in her artistic life. What makes a legend who has won 11 Grammys and sold more than 100 million records still feel regretful to this day? Let's find out. The biggest regret. During a candid 2020 conversation with PBS, the legendary singer's eyes briefly reflected the weight of past decisions as she answered a seemingly simple question about regrets. I wish that I had more time to work on the Mexican music. I would spend a lot of time learning how to play the jarana, Ronstadt responded without hesitation. This straightforward reply revealed what had been lurking in her mind for decades, an unfulfilled musical journey that remained painfully out of reach. The PBS interview created a moment of remarkable vulnerability for the normally private Ronstadt. With characteristic directness, she identified her greatest professional regret, not as a missed collaboration or abandoned album, but rather as something deeply personal, the insufficient time she dedicated to exploring the traditional music of her heritage. This confession came during a period when Ronstadt was already dealing with the devastating effects of what was initially diagnosed as Parkinson's disease. I'm still the same person, I'm just diminished, she told interviewer Jeffrey Brown, explaining the challenges she faced. Talking is really hard and pulling my thoughts together. I can see them, but when I go to talk, it gets jumbled. Her admission stood in stark contrast to her immense commercial success, having sold over 100 million records throughout her career. Yet amid all those achievements, it was this unfinished cultural exploration that weighed most heavily on her mind. Furthermore, while she did release the acclaimed 1987 album Canciones de mi Padre, a tribute to her Mexican heritage, Ronstadt felt she had only scratched the surface of what could have been a much deeper musical journey. The persistence of this regret becomes more understandable when examining Ronstadt's family background. Though not extensively discussed in the PBS interview, her Mexican heritage runs deep. Her desire to master the jarana, a guitar-shaped instrument from Veracruz, Mexico, represented more than just learning another musical skill. It symbolized a deeper connection to her ancestral roots. Moreover, what makes this regret particularly poignant is that her ability to pursue this passion was permanently curtailed by her health condition. I don't miss performing, but I miss singing, she confessed to Jeffrey Brown. This statement reveals the depth of her longing, not for the spotlight or applause, but for the pure joy of musical expression. In a 2013 NPR interview with Terry Gross, Ronstadt shared how Parkinson's had silenced her voice. We talked about doing a duet album, but my voice had already started to go. I couldn't do it, and that makes me furious. This rage at her circumstances adds another layer to her regret about Mexican music. Not only did she wish for more time in her past, but she had also lost any possibility of rectifying it in her future. Additionally, the regret seems almost paradoxical, given her substantial contribution to preserving Mexican musical traditions. As noted by Far Out magazine, Ronstadt's statement seems almost oxymoronic. She did pay great homage to the sounds of Mexico, so why exactly did she feel her contribution wasn't enough? The answer appears to lie in her perfectionist tendencies and deep respect for the cultural traditions she sought to honor. For Ronstadt, merely recording Mexican songs wasn't sufficient. She wanted to immerse herself fully in the instrumental traditions, cultural context, and authentic expressions of the music. Consequently, her regret transcends simple nostalgia. It represents a profound artistic and personal journey left incomplete, a path she can now only imagine rather than walk. While her recordings of Mexican music remain beloved by fans worldwide, Ronstadt herself still hears the songs that might have been. If Linda Ronstadt's biggest regret in her career is related to her roots, what does that mean? Shortly after sharing her biggest regret, Linda leads the listener into an emotional chapter, her deep and proud connection to Mexican music, where her cultural roots were once forgotten in the bright spotlight. Deep connection to Mexican music, the musical heritage that shaped Linda Ronstadt, runs far deeper than many of her fans realized until well into her career. Born into a family with rich multicultural roots, Ronstadt's connection to Mexican music wasn't simply an artistic choice, it was literally in her blood. Ronstadt's musical identity began forming in her childhood home in Tucson, Arizona, where her earliest memories were sitting in the living room with her family and listening to old rock and roll, blues, gospel, and mariachi music. These genres melded together, creating the foundation for her unique singing style. I grew up singing Mexican music, and that's based on indigenous Mexican rhythms. Ronstadt explained, Mexican music also has an overlay of West African music, and that's how I attack vocal. Unlike many American artists who downplayed their ethnic heritage, Ronstadt's family celebrated theirs. She recalled being saturated in song throughout her childhood. My mother played banjo, ukulele, she played the piano. My dad played the guitar and sang. I learned all those songs. I don't know why, I just learned them by osmosis. The Ronstadt family's musical legacy extended back 5 generations. Her great-grandfather, Friedrich August Ronstadt, who went by Federico Augusto Ronstadt, immigrated from Hanover, Germany, to Sonora, Mexico in the 1840s, before settling in Tucson. He married Margarita Redondo y Vasquez, a Mexican citizen, beginning the family's multicultural heritage. Her grandfather, Federico's son, founded what may have been Tucson's first professional orchestra, the Club Filarmonico Tucson. Music education was paramount in the family. All the women in the family were taught to play piano, and they knew operatic arias. Linda's father, Gilbert, inherited this musical passion. Though he didn't pursue music professionally, he played music for love, not money. Gilbert introduced Linda to traditional Mexican songs that he had learned from his father. Indeed, on Linda's 3rd birthday, Gilbert and family friend Lalo Guerrero, known as the father of Chicano music, serenaded her in the Mexican way. In 1987, despite her record label's initial hesitation, Ronstadt released Canciones de mi Padre, Songs of My Father, a collection of traditional Mexican songs she had learned in childhood. The album became the biggest-selling non-English language album in American history, selling over 2.5 million units and winning a Grammy for Best Mexican American Performance. Of course, for Ronstadt, this wasn't simply a commercial venture. I didn't think it was important, except I wanted to sing the songs, she explained. That's what was important to me. I wasn't trying to make a social statement. Yet the album's impact extended far beyond record sales. First thing to remember, the album's title came from a book published by her Aunt Luisa, who performed as Luisa Espinal in 1946 called Canciones de mi Padre, Spanish folk songs from southern Arizona. In fact, when promoting the album, Ronstadt appeared everywhere, from Saturday Night Live to PBS's Great Performances, introducing millions of Americans to traditional Mexican music. For many Mexican Americans, seeing Ronstadt proudly embracing her heritage on national television was profoundly significant. As one writer noted, it taught us that it was okay to be unapologetically Mexican, no matter how assimilated we may be. Why did she feel it wasn't enough? Despite releasing the groundbreaking Canciones de mi Padre album and bringing Mexican music to mainstream American audiences, Ronstadt's artistic soul remained unsatisfied with what she had accomplished. The gulf between what she managed to create and what she envisioned remained painfully wide throughout her career. Ronstadt's wish to learn the jarana, a guitar-shaped instrument from Veracruz, Mexico, represented her deeper yearning for musical authenticity. I would spend a lot of time learning how to play the jarana, she confessed in her PBS interview. This traditional 8-string instrument plays a crucial role in son jarocho music from Veracruz, producing distinctive, bright, percussive sounds that form the rhythmic backbone of the genre. For Ronstadt, mastering this instrument wasn't merely about adding another skill to her repertoire. Instead, symbolized a complete immersion in the cultural traditions that shaped her family's musical heritage. Learning to play traditionally would have allowed her to participate in Mexican music making rather than simply interpreting it through her voice. Throughout her peak commercial years, Ronstadt faced relentless touring schedules and recording deadlines that left little room for musical exploration outside her established genre. Between 1975 and 1980, she was actively recording and touring almost continuously, with 5 platinum albums in succession. I didn't have time, she explained simply. The music industry's expectations created a paradox. Her commercial success provided the platform to eventually record Mexican music, yet simultaneously consumed the time she needed to study it properly. Record labels and concert promoters understandably wanted Ronstadt to capitalize on her pop success rather than pursue what they considered niche interests. Ultimately, Ronstadt's struggle reflected the classic artist dilemma, balancing market demands against personal artistic vision. While she eventually recorded 3 albums of Mexican music, she always felt she had merely scratched the surface of what was possible. I was always trying to expand, not contract, Ronstadt noted in a later interview. Nevertheless, she faced resistance when pursuing her cultural interests. When initially proposing Canciones de mi Padre, her record label worried about commercial viability. Although the album exceeded all sales expectations, the industry remained hesitant about her subsequent Mexican project. By the time Ronstadt gained enough industry clout to fully dictate her artistic direction, her voice had already begun deteriorating due to her progressive supranuclear palsy. The cruel irony wasn't lost on her. Just as she finally had the freedom to fully explore her heritage, her physical ability to do so was slipping away. Can regrets follow you for the rest of your life, even when you have reached the pinnacle of your fame? For Linda Ronstadt, it seems to be true. Regrets do not stop at words, but also quietly affect her later years, when she faced illness, quietly looking back at the missed opportunities in her musical journey. The impact of regret on later years. In 2011, a devastating diagnosis forever altered Linda Ronstadt's relationship with her musical aspiration. What began as tremors and vocal changes was eventually identified as progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare brain disorder, initially misdiagnosed as Parkinson's disease. This condition cruelly silenced one of music's most distinctive voices. Ronstadt's last public performance occurred in 2009, well before her formal retirement announcement in 20. As her condition progressed, she lost not only her singing ability, but also basic motor functions. Walking isn't too much fun these days. I'm really slow, she revealed in an NPR interview. I'm very slow with my hands too. It's hard to brush my teeth. It's hard to wash my hair. The degenerative condition specifically attacked the muscles needed for singing. What you can't do with Parkinsonism is repetitive motions, and singing is a repetitive motion, Ronstadt explained. I'd start to do something and it would start to take the note and then it would stop. Throughout interviews, Ronstadt has expressed her grief, not through self-pity, but through wistful observations about family gatherings. It's a little frustrating when my family comes over from Arizona, because we would all sing together, she admitted, but I can't do that anymore. The weight of this loss becomes apparent in a poignant scene captured in a documentary, where Ronstadt joined family members for an informal singing session. I don't have that note in my speaking range anymore. This isn't sing. Believe me, it's a few notes, she acknowledged, adding, I would enjoy it much more if I could sing, but I can't let them sing this without me. It's a family thing. Remarkably, Ronstadt maintains an attitude of gratitude despite her circumstances. I had a long turn at the trough, she told NPR. I got to live a lot of my dreams, and I feel lucky about it. In her 2013 memoir Simple Dreams, published shortly after revealing her diagnosis, Ronstadt reflected on her career without regret. To this day, she remains connected to Mexican music through Los Ciencias Cultural Arts Academy, which she calls my musical home now. I don't sing anymore, she stated matter-of-factly, but I'm still involved with music. So after all this, her illustrious career, her accolades and her shortcomings, what remains of Linda Ronstadt's legacy? Even though she can no longer sing, she has found a way to honor her deep Mexican roots, leaving an indelible mark on her fans and the music world. Legacy still honors roots. Though silenced by illness, Linda Ronstadt's musical contributions to Mexican culture continue to resonate powerfully in the music world today. Her bold decision to record traditional Mexican music at the height of her fame created a lasting cultural bridge that few artists have matched. Canciones de mi Padre became the biggest-selling non-English language album in American history, selling over 2.5 million units in the U.S. alone. This unexpected commercial success effectively paved the way for Latin artists who would later achieve mainstream recognition, Significantly, Ronstadt's Mexican albums helped open doors for performers like Selena Quintanilla, Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. What made her impact especially meaningful was the authenticity she brought to the project. "I had to sing those songs or I was going to die," Ronstadt once explained about her Mexican music. This cultural genuineness resonated with both existing fans and new listeners who might otherwise never have explored these musical traditions. Currently, Ronstadt's most enduring legacy may be her 30-year involvement with Los Angeles Cultural Arts Academy in California's East Bay area. This cultural center teaches traditional Mexican music, dance, and art to approximately 300 children weekly, aged 6 to 19. They learn the true, deep traditions of Mexican music. And afterwards, if they want to become professional musicians, later on and they want to break the rules, they know how to break them, Ronstadt explained. In Eugene Rodriguez, founder of Los Angeles, emphasizes that, unlike the commercial music industry, that selects only the most beautiful flowers, their approach is like a slow-growth garden. We want all the flowers to grow and blossom. Across different communities, Ronstadt's work remains celebrated for making Mexican music accessible without compromising its integrity. "They can take our land, they can kill us, but they can't take our culture," she powerfully stated. For many Mexican Americans, seeing Ronstadt proudly embrace her heritage on national television validated their own cultural identities. Eugene Rodriguez recalls that when her Mexican albums were released in the 1980s, all the girls in the neighborhood wanted to sing like Linda. Perhaps most tellingly, the songs from Canciones de mi Padre were the last pieces Ronstadt performed at her final concert in November 2009, a fitting bookend to a career that, regardless of her regrets, profoundly honored her roots. What do you think made Linda Ronstadt's decision to sing Mexican music while she was a top rock star so lasting? Have you ever felt inspired by an artist who boldly celebrated her cultural heritage? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in